Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're kind of strapping on our babblefish.
Oh, nice.
Heading into the wild world of machine learning security.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah. It's a bit like that moment in Hitchhiker's Guide when, Arthur realizes that the Earth is about to be demolished.
Yeah.
Except, instead of planets, it's our data and systems at stake.
True.
And maybe even our sanity.
That's right. The adoption of all these LLMs and other machine learning systems, it's opening up incredible possibilities.
Definitely.
But we also need to be very cautious about security.
For sure.
Think of it as packing a towel and a good firewall for this journey.
Okay, I like that. So let's unpack our sources for this deep dive.
Right.
We've got 2 documents from OWASP.
Okay.
The Open Web Application Security Project.
Yes.
They're top 10 for LLM applications. And then a draft for machine learning security.
Great sources.
Buckle up, because we are about to jump into hyperspace.
First things first, attackers can manipulate the inputs to these systems. It's like sneaking a bogus entry into the guide itself.
Oh, interesting.
We call that prompt injection.
Okay.
And it comes in 2 flavors. Direct, where attackers rewrite the rules, and indirect, where they're kind of more subtly tweaking the information that the system is using.
So if I asked the guide for the best way to make a cup of tea,
Okay, yeah.
someone could manipulate it to give me instructions for building a Vogon constructor fleet.
Exactly.
That's slightly alarming.
Yeah, and it's not just about manipulating the inputs. Attackers can mess with the outputs, too.
Oh, okay.
That's called insecure output handling.
Hold on, does that mean I could end up with a Nutramatic machine
Uh-huh.
dispensing pan-galactic gargle blasters instead of tea?
You're catching on quickly.
Oh, no.
The model could spit out something it shouldn't.
Okay.
Maybe a malicious script disguised as a harmless link, or a data leak
Yeah.
exposing some sensitive information.
Oh, wow.
Think of it as a Vogon poetry reading when you were expecting soothing melodies.
Okay, this is starting to feel less like a fun space adventure
Yeah,
and more like a Vogon poetry slam.
that's a good way to put it.
But before I reach for the total perspective vortex,
Okay.
tell me there is a way to avoid these digital black holes.
Don't panic. We can definitely navigate these dangers. For prompt injection, we can limit access,
Okay.
sanitize inputs, and use a human in the loop
Mm-hmm.
for sensitive actions.
Okay.
And for insecure output handling, we need to treat the model's output
Yeah,
with the same kind of caution as any other user input.
got it.
So validate it, sanitize it, and be extra careful.
Right, I'm breathing again.
Good.
But what about the data these models are trained on? Can't that be tampered with too?
Absolutely.
Be like, those babblefish.
Yeah.
You think you're getting accurate translations,
Right.
but you're actually getting complete gibberish.
You're right to be concerned. That's called training data poisoning. Someone could sneak in fake entries, claiming that the Earth is a paradise for Vogons.
Right.
If the model learns from this poisoned data, its outputs will be totally skewed.
So how do we protect ourselves from this digital food poisoning?
It's a good question.
Do we just abandon machine learning altogether
No, I don't think so.
and stick to good old-fashioned human intelligence?
There's no need to throw the infinite improbability drive out the airlock just yet.
Okay, good.
We can defend against training data poisoning by verifying our sources,
Okay.
implementing strong input filters, and regularly monitoring the model's performance for any strange behavior.
So it's like making sure your data is as clean as a freshly laundered towel
Exactly.
before heading out on a space adventure.
That's a great analogy.
But I have a feeling this isn't even the half of it.
You got that right.
What other surprises are lurking in this machine learning galaxy?
Well, sometimes the problem isn't with the model itself,
Oh, okay.
but the whole supply chain it relies on. Imagine the Vogons subcontracting the Earth demolition to an even less competent species.
Right.
That's where supply chain vulnerabilities come in.
So we could end up with a shoddily built heart of gold
Precisely.
because someone used a dodgy component from a backwater planet.
Exactly. It's not just about the model's code. It's also the data it's trained on,
Okay.
the libraries it uses, and even the cloud platforms it runs on.
Wow.
Any weak link in that chain can be exploited.
So do we need to build our own spaceship from scratch and never trust any external suppliers?
That might be a bit extreme.
Okay.
We can mitigate these risks by carefully vetting our suppliers,
All right.
using robust authentication and authorization, and regularly monitoring for any signs of compromise.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But are these attacks just theoretical?
No, not at all.
Or are they actually happening in the real world?
Oh, they're definitely happening.
Really?
Remember that data breach at Samsung?
Yeah, that was a big deal.
That was caused by employees accidentally leaking confidential information to ChatGPT.
Oh, right. It sounds like more of a user error, though.
It was a user error, but it highlights how easily things can go wrong when LLMs are involved.
For sure.
Yeah, and then there was the PyPy attack.
Oh, yeah?
Where hackers snuck malicious code into a popular Python package used by loads of developers.
So this isn't just hypothetical. These attacks were actually happening.
Exactly, and as machine learning becomes more and more integrated into our lives, these attacks are only going to become more common and more sophisticated.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like Arthur Dent facing the end of the world.
I understand the feeling.
But our OWASP guides have more to tell us, right?
Yes, they do.
What other dangers are lurking out there?
Let's talk about model inversion attacks.
Okay.
Imagine someone trying to reverse engineer the Nutramatic machine just by analyzing the food it produces.
It's like a culinary espionage.
This is a good analogy. Except instead of recipes, attackers are trying to extract sensitive information from the model itself.
Oh, wow.
They might feed in certain inputs, observe the outputs, slowly piecing together how the system works.
So it's like a cosmic game of chess with the hacker trying to outmaneuver the machine learning model?
You could say that, and the stakes are high.
Yeah.
A successful model inversion attack could allow someone to steal confidential data.
Oh, no.
Or even figure out how to bypass security measures.
All right, I'm adding a tinfoil hat to my packing list for this machine learning trip.
That's probably a good idea.
What about membership inference attacks?
Okay.
Are those as unsettling as they sound?
Perhaps even more so.
Oh, great.
Imagine a hacker trying to figure out if you were part of the training data for the Hitchhiker's Guide.
So they could figure out if my experiences, my opinions, even my deepest fears about Vogon poetry are all baked into this model.
Exactly.
That's a major privacy violation.
It is. They could potentially use this information to target you with scams.
Oh, wow.
Or even blackmail you.
Okay, this is getting a bit too Black Mirror for my liking.
It can be pretty unsettling.
Yeah. Is there any way to defend against these attacks?
Of course. One strategy is to make the model less transparent to attackers.
Okay.
Instead of revealing all its secrets, it can add some randomness to its outputs.
Interesting.
Making it harder to reverse engineer.
So what about model theft?
Okay.
Is that as straightforward as it sounds?
Sometimes it is that brazen.
Okay.
Imagine someone stealing the entire Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Right.
All its knowledge, all its secrets, and selling it to the highest bidder.
That's a developer's worst nightmare.
It is.
All that work, all that intellectual property, gone in an instant.
Exactly. The stolen model could be used to create a competing product.
Right.
Or even for malicious purposes.
So how do you stop someone from becoming a cosmic thief?
It's not easy, but we can make it harder. One strategy is to encrypt the model, making it unreadable without the right key.
That makes sense. What about transfer learning attacks?
Yeah.
We're talking about intergalactic knowledge transfer gone wrong.
In a way, yes.
Okay.
Imagine a hacker training a model to recognize Vogon poetry, then using that knowledge to make it more effective at identifying and exploiting weaknesses in other systems.
So it's like taking a crash course in Vogon poetry to become a master hacker.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it.
That's a strange skill set.
It is, but the point is to be careful about where your models learn from.
Okay.
If you're using pre-trained models from untrusted sources, you could be introducing vulnerabilities into your own systems.
Like trusting a stranger to guide you through hyperspace.
Exactly.
You never know where you might end up.
Speaking of ending up in unexpected places, let's talk about model skewing.
Okay, now we're getting into some weird territory.
Yeah, this one is a bit strange.
Is this where the laws of physics and common sense get thrown out the airlock?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Imagine someone manipulating the Hitchhiker's Guide to favor certain destinations.
Right.
Even if they're terrible places to visit.
So it's like a rigged travel guide.
Exactly.
Designed to lead you astray.
Precisely. And the consequences can be serious.
Yeah.
Especially if the model is being used for important decisions.
I'm definitely adding a healthy dose of skepticism to my packing list.
Probably a good idea.
What else should we be looking out for on this trip? It feels like we've encountered enough threats to make Marvin the paranoid android nervous.
You're telling me?
But I have a feeling there's more.
Yeah, there is.
What else do we need to watch out for on this machine learning journey?
We need to talk about output integrity attacks.
All right.
Imagine someone tampering with the output of a machine learning model,
Okay.
like editing the Hitchhiker's Guide to include false information.
So instead of finding directions to the restaurant at the end of the universe, I end up with a recipe for a pan-galactic gargle blaster.
Yeah.
That's actually a bomb.
That's the idea. They can modify the output to display like dangerous instructions. Think about, medical diagnoses.
Right.
Self-driving cars, the consequences could be disastrous.
Okay, I'm officially adding a hazmat suit to my packing list.
I think that's wise.
How do you stop someone from messing with the outputs like that?
One way is to use cryptographic methods,
Okay.
like digital signatures, to ensure that the output hasn't been tampered with.
Got it.
It's like a tamper-proof seal on the Hitchhiker's Guide.
Good to know, but our journey isn't over yet. There's one last entry on our list, right?
That's right.
Model poisoning.
Yeah.
Is that similar to training data poisoning?
It is similar, but instead of targeting the training data,
Okay.
model poisoning attacks the model's parameters directly.
So they're hijacking the system
Exactly.
instead of just subtly influencing it.
Precisely. And the scary part is a poisoned model might still appear to function normally,
Oh, wow.
making it very hard to detect.
So how do we avoid this digital poisoning?
One strategy is to use robust model architectures
Okay.
that are less susceptible to manipulation.
So we need to make these systems as resilient as a Vogon spaceship.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But even Vogons make mistakes, don't they?
They do, and that brings us to our final point.
Okay.
Human oversight.
Yeah.
No matter how advanced these systems become, we can't trust them blindly.
Right.
We need to be vigilant,
For sure.
monitor their behavior, and be ready to step in if something seems wrong.
So even in the vast expanse of the machine learning galaxy,
Yeah,
human intelligence is still the ultimate guide.
precisely.
Well, this deep dive has been a wild ride. Thanks for guiding me through the perils of the machine learning galaxy.
It was my pleasure.
It seems like we've encountered enough threats to make even Zaphod Beeblebrox think twice.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to consider.
So to our listeners, remember to keep your wits about you, your security protocols up to date.
Definitely.
And don't forget your towel.
Never forget your towel.
And if you ever encounter a Vogon poet, just run.
That's good advice.
See you next time on The Deep Dive.